Many of my longtime viewers will know that Dead Space is my de facto favorite game of all time, and has been since 2008. I've been essentially making videos about it since I was 9 years old.
What the heck is that? Okay, I brought back your giant Satan rock. Can I go home now?
My uncle voiced that. I've even cosplayed Dead Space's main protagonist, Isaac Clarke, twice over the years as my craft skills have improved. So as an adult with Arrested Development, I'm overjoyed to revisit the original game again in 4K with Isaac finally allowed to verbally comment on just how much fun he's having.
Cheap CEC piece of shit.
And with great Arrested Development comes a substantial addiction to Fortnite skins. Seeing Isaac lovingly ported over to that game unlocked an ancient memory deep in the recesses of my mind where he was skateboarding and golfing and a bunch of other funny stuff. So I did some research to try and find out just how many games he's appeared in, and was astonished to realize that this depressed loser with a high-tech welder's mask has been everywhere. He has appeared in more video games than Master Chief and even Kratos, two of the biggest characters in AAA franchise gaming.
I don't know, I guess I've become something of an icon.
He's even been in the same game as Kratos. Twice! Just to get the full picture, I went searching to see if anyone's done a video to compile how many crossovers this character's been subject to, and realized no one else has done it yet. So I may as well be the first if it's an excuse to talk about Dead Space on the channel some more. Here is an extensive list of every non-Dead Space appearance of Isaac Clarke in video games. But first, a brief word from today's sponsor. This video is sponsored by Factor. Factor makes meeting your nutritional goals easier than ever by delivering fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals right to your doorstep. Fuel up fast this year with Factor's ready-to-eat, nutritious meals delivered straight to your door, leaving you time and energy to tackle everything on your to-do list. Personally, I really enjoyed the jalapeno lime cheddar chicken, and my wife said she loved the chorizo chili meal. Plus, the mango fruit juice tasted pretty good without making me feel guilty for drinking it like I always do when I have a soda. Our whole dinner was cooked in just 4 minutes and it tasted fantastic. With 34 chef-prepared, dietitian-approved weekly options, there's always something new to try. Plus, you can round out your meals and replenish your snack supply with an assortment of 36 plus sweets, smoothies, juices, and more satisfying add-ons. Head to Factor75.com or click the link below and use GodzillaMendoza50 to get 50% off your first Factor box. Again, that's GodzillaMendoza50 to get 50% off your first Factor box at Factor75.com. Now back to the video. I think this is probably the most well-documented Isaac appearance, and probably because it's just visually the funniest. If you load up Skate 3 from 2010 and head over to the cheat code menu and type in Dead Space 2, Isaac's very same model from Dead Space 1 is loaded in as a skater you can play as, complete with his own rig-themed skateboard. Now Isaac can grind rails, do backflips, hang out with actor Jason Lee, and wipe the hell out because I'm not very good at this game. Yeah, I haven't really played any skating games since Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3, so I'm a little bit behind the curve on this. I played the tutorial, again mostly just to listen to Jason Lee, and I'm still struggling a bit to do anything that looks serviceably cool. However, this game does allow you to just, like, chuck your skateboard and run around awkwardly flailing your arms and jumping up and down. It's nice to see Isaac doing something so relaxing and harmless. Plus, you can call your board back from across the map like Mjolnir. I guess he used kinesis on it. Maybe his skating prowess wouldn't be the best in this suit, but I can guarantee that he's safe during any major faceplants into the concrete. It's like being covered in bubble wrap. It's impossible to skin his knee on the sidewalk. Not for lack of trying. Here's some footage of someone else being good at the game that I found on Twitter to offset my lack of extreme. So, this video would have been a lot faster and easier to edit had I made it a point to just use someone else's footage for everything, but for whatever reason I have a natural aversion to easy and fast video production and decided to get all this footage myself. Or have my pal Angus get whatever I personally couldn't using his totally unmodified PS3 with no aftermarket alterations applied at all. I paid for the rest of these though. Invest in physical media, kids! Everything will be delisted except your discs. Some of these skins and DLCs are no longer accessible in any legitimate way because they've been delisted from digital stores, or they were only available in specific regions. So Angus really helped me out by getting some of the trickier ones nailed down. Thanks, man! Something about seeing Isaac in hell fighting demons with a scythe made of a spinal column oddly doesn't look that jarring. Sure, his suit is futuristic, but it also feels very gothic too. I think that really speaks to the uniqueness of the art design in the original Dead Space. I could line up spaceships and power armor from many different franchises that would all look relatively similar, but you'd always be able to pick out the ones from Dead Space. Maybe because their key design philosophy is covering everything in REDS! Spare REDS! Of all the games on this list, this is the one I'm really bummed out I had to let Angus record instead, because getting this costume is a whole process. Isaac's suit is only available in the UK version of the game called Dante's Inferno Death Edition, and it's from a code that comes in the game box, which means I'd have to find a copy of the game that's been unopened for over a decade, which is incredibly expensive at this point, or find a copy of the code that hasn't been redeemed yet somehow. Naturally, we just had to go to some alternate methods. Shh. I've never played this game before, but it looks awesome. Part of me really misses this era of spectacle fighter games where everyone was trying to be Kratos or Dante. Different Dante. This game is so early 2010s. It's got a lot of blood and gore and a lot of casual female nudity, and from the looks of it, some pretty kick-ass combat. I can only show so much, but I will say it's pretty cool that the Isaac skin works during in-game cutscenes as well. Look, he's just chilling next to this naked ghost lady, I guess.
This is some of the worst putting I have ever seen.
Man, Angus got to play Dante's Inferno and I had to record this. I've played golf in real life and it's alright, but God, I just can't imagine genuinely having fun playing a video game version of it. You don't even get to walk around outside and breathe in fresh air and hit stuff with a metal stick. I didn't even want to try this game, so I just let my mom play it because she has a decent understanding of golf and played some of the PS2 entries in this series. She wasn't very good at it at first, but with time and a few drinks, her skill improved. Some of the old swing oil to help her game. The requirements to unlock him here are to buy him in the pro shop for like 20,000 Tiger Bucks and complete the first Boston Challenge. But getting to that challenge requires playing for a long time, and this game is boring as, well, watching professional golf. Of every game on our list, this one was the single hardest one to unlock Isaac in without just cheating. But there's no way to cheat because all the codes for this game have gone completely undiscovered even after 14 years. You have to play for hours and hours and hours through these mind-numbingly hard challenges for only 1 to 3 measly points at a time until you have 45 to even attempt the Boston Challenge. This one took us several days of work and frustration to get this footage. I truly despise this game, and it's made me thoroughly sure I will never play another golf game again in my life. I would have just bought the costume with real-life money to save time, but this game's been delisted, and so has every piece of DLC that goes with it, so this is the only way. If I could run up behind Luke Donald and smack him in the back of the leg with a 9-iron to skip these damn challenges! If I could have just taken someone else's footage, I would, but this is the only other video of this thing on the entire damn internet. In fact, I might just be the only person in the world to have HD footage of this because this costume's obscurity makes it border on lost media. I challenge you to look. All the other footage of it online has been deleted from the EA website it used to be on. This is probably all that's left, so good news! Media preserved! I hate the concept of games being delisted or even bonus content becoming impossible to access with time. Everything should still be playable after time has passed, and if not, just letting people be able to see it is the next best thing. I'm happy to archive this if no one else has, but still, this ended up taking like 60 hours to unlock. It was a second job for my family, all of us just sitting around the TV watching my mom for 5 hours a day after work, just trying her best to make these putts and land on the greens. We even invited my uncle over to help with a few challenges until 4 AM one day, since he's pretty good at these games, and after over a week of struggling, we finally crossed the finish line. That was the most satisfying and exciting conclusion to a fucking golf game that I've ever been part of. I should have recorded the audio of the entire family sitting around the TV high-fiving, cheering, and on the verge of tears when we finally got him.
Hold on a second. Roxy, this is not Tiger Woods.
What are you talking about?
So you may be wondering, why this game? Why is he here? Is it because him and Tiger Woods both share a history of running and fright from their blonde ex while reeling with guilt? Nah, it's because all these early games on our list, Tiger Woods, Dante's Inferno, and Skate 3, are all built on the same engine as the original Dead Space. Porting his model over to these other games was exceptionally easy because he was already rigged to the animations, and they figured, why the hell not throw him in there? It's like as easy as dragging and dropping a file. They weren't putting him in all these games because they wanted to put him forth as a new company mascot or something. It was more just an inside joke that just kept evolving and eventually got way out of control. I don't really know anything about Dragon Age other than it has some Mass Effect Easter eggs. I've never really paid attention to this series because I like sci-fi stuff way more than fantasy stuff, but for some reason I'm pretty sure I got this mixed up with The Witcher or something because I did not expect the gameplay to look like this. Kinda like a Marvel Ultimate Alliance dungeon crawler sort of thing. That's neat, I guess. But unlocking Isaac was a lot easier back in the day. Originally you could just get him if you had a Dead Space 2 save file on the same platform, and voila! A suit of armor styled after the Dead Space 2 advanced suit. However, they suspended that functionality for a few years, then they changed it so you can get it free with the game on Origin. I don't have a good gaming PC, so I just bought this game for Angus, I guess, so he could do it. It's kind of ironic that the two games with Isaac in a fantasy setting are the ones that are such a pain in the ass to get a playable copy with. I really like that they created an Isaac costume that definitely still fits this game's aesthetic instead of just plopping in that crazy blue and white Iron Man suit. This looks recognizable as Isaac, but still works as a dragon-fighting Nightman. I assume they fight dragons. Again, I don't really know. The lights on his helmet and his back work. That's cool.
Go no further, mortal! You speak of the dead returned to life.
Not life. Necromorphs are abominations.
This one's 3 costumes! Have you ever wanted to see Isaac curb stomp small furry woodland creatures that are now long forgotten PlayStation mascots? Then PlayStation All-Stars is the Smash Bros. Clone for you. This game is just kind of adorable. You know, that they thought that they could compete with Smash using this roster. Isaac isn't even a PlayStation exclusive character, they just grabbed whoever Nintendo wasn't going to use. History's greatest musician!
I would not speak of this.
Now keep in mind, I don't play Smash Bros. Because I have a job and a wife and friends, so I'm not totally adept at most of these look at all the IPs we own platform fighters out here, but I think I started to get the hang of this one. I did play the tutorial to try and get the basics down, and I realized this game's actually pretty fun. I really like how Isaac's moveset in this game incorporates a lot of his weapons and tools from the Dead Space series. He can use Stasis, the Ripper, Contact Beam, Plasma Cutter, Kinesis, Proximity Mine, and probably others if you can see that microscopic character working his ass off while a million other things happen on the screen and particle effects shoot out of your eyeballs. But sometimes the action gets real close and personal, so you can really see the hatred when Isaac kicks Fat Princess right in the face while she's down, or telekinetically strangles Parappa the Rapper. These character pairings are just crazy. Like look, it's Isaac during that time where they redesigned him to look more like Nathan Drake and everyone complained so they changed it back. Alongside Cole from Infamous during that time where they redesigned him to look more like Nathan Drake and everyone complained so they changed it back. And Dante from DMC during that time where they redesigned him to look more like Nathan Drake and everyone complained so they changed it back. And also Nathan Drake! Fucking white guys in video games. The other neat thing is that this game features fully voice-acted cutscenes for each character you play, ranging from these simple slideshow graphics featuring Ellie Langford's terrible push-up bra redesign from the game that had a love triangle subplot.
I know you two had a thing, but she's mine now, and I love her too much to let her do this.
To these in-game interactions where your character meets their rival, and they have a little back and forth with some other random PlayStation-branded crazy person. The Zeus is loose! There's a bit of an unfair power differential at play here, given that one of these characters is a competent, albeit normal, human man in a 60-pound suit of armor defending himself with repurposed mining equipment, and the other is an ancient deity that can grow to the size of a skyscraper and shoot lightning out of his enlarged pores like a sweaty Pikachu with glandular issues. I guess technically Isaac has indeed fought and killed much larger foes, but I don't want to talk about that. Regardless, Isaac still uses Kinesis to just flat out catch lightning, and I think that asserts just how fully this era of the character jumped the shark.
He's right behind you!
So I guess there was a period of time where the Sims series tried to appeal to younger audiences with more cutesy, chibi characters to compete with Nintendo's usage of customizable Miis and Wii games. The result was this series of games called MySims that started on Nintendo consoles. It had a handful of spin-offs like MySims Party, MySims Racing, MySims Kingdom, MySims Earthrise, and these two. While Isaac was slated to be part of Agents, he was eventually cut out for reasons unknown, but he did make it into Sky Heroes along with Commander Shepard. Sky Heroes is the airplane dogfight game where your cute and cuddly sim uses a biplane to harmlessly explode their enemies while shouting indecipherable, cluttered syllables with no discernible pattern. It's like if Snoopy and the Red Baron were... Actually, it's a lot like Snoopy and the Red Baron.
Oh, good job! You found Tiger!
Why don't they speak Simlish in the cinematic trailer for this character? Isaac doesn't get a unique plane, but it's just funny seeing him portrayed so harmless and adorable considering the source material. He's a depressed 40-year-old man with extreme schizophrenia that uses a magnetic floating circular saw to cut through hordes of possessed child corpses. Put him in 3 Little Big Planet games.
What a great victory for health and safety, but a thrilling ride nonetheless.
For the affordable price of like $1.99, Dead Space 2 Isaac can be a playable skin in the adventures of Sackboy and his various textures of sack. This is a side-scroller sandbox game that lets you design levels and puzzles and whatnot. I actually saw someone recreate multiple levels from Dead Space itself in this game because the options have so much depth. What's especially cool about this DLC is that if you bought it on the PS3 for Little Big Planet 2, it's shared with all of the following games in the series. So you have the Isaac costume in Little Big Planet Mario Kart Competitor, and eventually it can even transfer over to Little Big Planet 3, which is on PS4, and can also be played with backwards compatibility on PS5. So like, a DLC character you bought back in 2011 can still be played with later consoles today. Why this isn't the norm for things like this is beyond me. I think everything you buy should just carry over on the account so you don't have to worry about losing access to it when something dumb happens, like the PS3 or Xbox 360 stores going offline. Which is going to happen soon and makes producing videos like this one infinitely more nerve-wracking to pull together.
Team EA up by 5. In the lane. He's on fire!
This game's been delisted on every platform and is not available on disc. Probably because it was too much wacky b-ball insanity for people to handle. Isaac plays basketball all the time, actually. That's canon.
I have a great jump shot.
Let's just appreciate this image for a second from a completely unmodified official game release. Given its history with guest characters such as the Mortal Kombat fellas and the Clinton administration, it's not shocking that NBA Jam has some silly additional characters in it. This one includes 3 different skins from Dead Space 2, the security armor, advanced suit, and the vintage suit. It's kinda whack not to have his iconic baby back ribs platter shoulder suit included, but the vintage one looks close enough. This is another one where you have to unlock these costumes by just playing a ton of the game, but it's not nearly as bad as Tiger Woods was. You could get it in like an hour and a half, maybe less if you're better at the game. And also, unlike PGA Tour, the fun of this game is not from its realistic simulation of sports. It's fun because it's unrealistic basketball. The goal is just to do really crazy dunks from across the tiny court. This game's got a really simple, arcadey, pick-up-and-play sort of feel, so it's very accessible, and that seems more like my type of thing since I don't play sports simulators much. Sometimes you just want to sit back, relax, and watch people on fire playing 4-person basketball. While we're talking about other consoles, would you believe he's on the PSP edition of Army of Two: The 40th Day? Not in the main game, just the PSP version. Getting footage of this one was complicated, to say the least. Angus and I found out some guy by the name of RedFlameFox on YouTube did have some footage of this from an emulation of the game. But we didn't want to just steal that, so Angus ran his own emulation and then found out Isaac is only unlockable if you have a completed save file with all the good guy choices. Because this was from that infamous /Web of Shadows era where video games would stop you at a cutscene and ask if you wanted to save a cat from a tree or eat a baby, and then the following level just wouldn't care or acknowledge whichever choice you made because that would be too hard to program. Turns out, downloading a 100% save file for this game online included a path where the player made a combination of good and bad choices, which locked us out of the costume. So Angus actually contacted RedFlameFox and asked for his save file to get the costume for our own unique footage. Special thanks to FlameFox for helping us out. His channel is linked below, and hopefully by the time this video is up, the save file will now be made public and linked in the description too, so you can also play as Isaac in this game. The other unlockable character was Dante from Dante's Inferno, but we couldn't get footage of both at the same time because the NPC player always defaults to being a normal outfit.
Outstanding!
I have to put it out there. This is a fine example of a professionally made, lower poly version of the level 3 suit from Dead Space. For any of you maniacs in the modding community out there, now's your chance to rip this and try to put it in some PS2 era games. It's got the right look that it wouldn't be out of place in like Half-Life or even Kombat Evolved now that that's on PC. I'm just saying, we can dramatically increase the amount of games Isaac is in with these resources. Not that the amount of games he's in already is small by any definition, but even games pre-2008 are now on the table if one of you is crazy enough to try it. You know, I'm nothing if not thorough, so let's blast through some of the other smaller or weirder ones. I'm having fun with this topic. Minecraft Xbox 360 Edition released an official Isaac Clarke skin in Skin Pack 5 way back in 2013 or something, and I remember I actually had it. So I dusted off the console, hooked it up, and got some footage. Then I realized it's a stupid Dead Space 3 snowsuit design that'll never be as cool as the other ones, so I decided to build something in this game for the first time since I was like 15. It was a surreal experience coming back to Minecraft after all these years. I hadn't played it since my save file corrupted and the giant city I spent like 4 years working on was lost forever. I was just so sad about it that I never wanted to play it again for the rest of my teenage years. But picking it back up was like riding a bike. Granted, there's like 50 new types of blocks in the game that I don't recognize, but I knew I could eyeball the materials enough to build a big classic Isaac statue. That's nice. That made me feel good. And since we're getting really nostalgic, I kept asking my parents to buy me those damn Microsoft Points cards for this useless shit. Isaac from Dead Space 1, 2, and 3 had various skins you could customize your Xbox avatar with. Remember these? Yeah, you're tearing up a little, I can see it. They had little emotes and everything. It's just a shame you couldn't do anything with these. I mean, you could load them up in some Xbox Live Arcade games, so technically Isaac is available in all of those too. Yeah, let's play some Doritos Crash Course! This has gone so fucking off the rails. Okay, this one was actually impossible to get our own gameplay from, but I definitely did play PlayStation Home back when it was a thing. Here's the point where getting my own footage of this stuff is becoming a logistical nightmare, so shout out to the people who uploaded these next 3 entries. I'll link you in the description. PlayStation Home was like a toned-down, realistic Sims game that ran on PlayStation and was full of purchasable items like furniture for your virtual apartment and costumes for your character to wear. It also had a massive hub area where players could gather around and socialize with in-game chat and emotes while surrounded by massive billboards and TV screens displaying whatever new PlayStation crap was big at the moment. It was like a heavily monetized and commercialized progenitor, the sort of experience offered by like VR chat these days. You and your buds could just dress up as licensed characters and chill in an imaginary video game bar. It even had entire levels themed after specific games, so you could hang out in areas resembling iconic gaming locations, just without all the NPCs trying to fight you. Isaac's costumes from the first and second Dead Space were something you could buy from the in-game store, and I distinctly remember them looking like they too were just models ported straight over from Dead Space and fitted to the new animations. They also offered a version with slightly different body proportions for female player models, which is neat too. Look, you could pretend it's Vandal from the mobile game. I had a good time wearing the level 3 suit and exploring through the Star Wars Cantina levels or the Assassin's Creed lab place. However, this game was eventually shuttered in 2015 by Sony and was no longer playable. Until in 2021, some massively dedicated fans of PlayStation Home brought it back online through mods, some insanely intricate tweaking and restoring of any cached data, and a lot of altered PS3s. So if you go digging hard enough, you can actually go find a way to play this game again now that it's been restored under the name Destination Home. Nearly all of the footage you're viewing has been from Destination Home, provided by the team just for this very video. So that's another exclusive. I got in contact with Figment, the community manager on their Twitter, and the gang pulled together to record this. On the off chance you have a PS3 where you never uninstalled PS Home, You can also get in contact with them and donate that data to help them preserve even more of the game for future generations to play.
So why the hell doesn't this guy in the helmet ever talk?
Battlefield Hardline is made by the same devs as the original Dead Space trilogy, so they put in a bunch of Dead Space Easter eggs, like a criminal mafia guy playing the game in one level, and you can find Isaac's helmet in a store. There's a billion of these Easter eggs in here. You could tell that they were nostalgic for the good old days while they were forced to work in the Battlefield mines under EA's company-mandated try-to-beat Call of Duty sales work order. In Duke Nukem Forever, you can find a corpse in one of the alien levels that has Isaac's helmet, kinda.
That's one dead space marine.
Haha, that's funny. This game sucks. The Simpsons Game! This game came out the year before Dead Space, but this poster is still pretty funny. Now you kinda know how to draw Isaac in the Simpsons art style, if that's some, like, fan art thing you want to do. Just fix the helmet. Oh my god. Angus downloaded this whole game just to stand next to this poster for a second. It's become oddly customary that these types of videos somehow always end with a Fortnite skin. I'm just glad that Dead Space crossovers are still happening and the tradition lives on. Granted, a Fortnite skin is the easiest one to do these days because every character has one, but I love it. In the remake version of the level 3 engineer suit, he comes with a plasma cutter pickaxe, so like, if you took 2 of the laser pointers off and put big knives on it for whatever reason. He has a rig backpack that changes color when you take damage. Personally, I would have liked it to actually mimic the level of health your character has like it does in the real game, but maybe that was too much programming for a single DLC skin. His other thing is a tiny Ishimura, which is like, yeah, whatever, no one's using that. It probably should have been a tiny marker, since Isaac does have a history of hauling those things around from place to place for story purposes. I just wish he had one emote that involved more stomping, because I had to sub in a few other ones instead. It just looks right, you know?
Okay. Now you die.
Thank God for that Dead Space remake giving the franchise a fighting chance at continuing. It really reminded everyone why we liked the first game so much in the first place, and it really shined a light on what Dead Space 3 was lacking. So the future looks, ironically, bright for such a dystopian story. I have a feeling Dead Space is going to keep stomping for a long time. And with that, even more crossovers, Easter eggs, and references to Isaac or potentially some other helmeted protagonist in new games. In a weird way, he's sort of a sleeper icon in the world of gaming, considering his prevalence and recognizability. Those 3 horizontal slatted lines in his helmet are just really iconic and, like, instantly recognizable compared to so many other Space Marine looking dudes. I think he's earned a spot up there with some of the all-time greats, if only because he has such a sick costume alone. But on top of that, I just really love the character of this everyman schlub becoming the focal point of some cosmic horror beyond our comprehension. Isaac's original model in particular has been ported to so many different places. Hell, it's even been ported to the remake! I'm certain this is the old character model because you can see the corners on parts that are meant to be rounded, and the lower poly sort of look to some edges on the helmet. They retextured it maybe to look a little less out of place, but I know that old gorgeous set of armor when I see it. So, given just how many games it's appeared in, I think we should discuss the very real likelihood that this character model of the level 3 suit may be the most reused video game asset in gaming history. Either that or I'll find out some random chair model was ported across every single Call of Duty game and technically edges it out by 3 entries or something. But Isaac here is a real contender for that. Frankly, I love just how many games he's appeared in, and I hope that trend continues forever. I want him to just keep popping up in random games for the fun of it, and I'll probably keep buying them just for that character skin like an idiot. And hey, you silly game mod people that can put Lego Spider-Man into the Insomniac game, why not throw the sad engineer man into even funnier places? Let's see the strangest game you can make him a playable character in. Send the clips to me on Twitter. Let's make a game out of this. One day, he'll just be in every game! Except probably Dead Space 4. I always get mad at YouTube for not putting my videos in the subscription box because people will comment, "Finally, Xavier uploads again after all these years," not knowing 3 other videos came out within the last month already. So maybe that stupid bell icon thing will help you remember I exist. If you want other ways to support the channel, you can always go hit up that Patreon for early videos and exclusive stuff because it's just $1. I'm not kidding, it's only $1. Isn't that cool? If everyone who watched this video donated $1 a month, I'd be able to afford a house for myself, so that would be really cool. You can also check out our merch on TeePublic, or just buy some of my random stuff on eBay. I have a pretty substantial collection of old toys that are still in the box in perfect condition, so go take a look in case you find something you like. And lastly, since this is a YouTube video and you probably play Fortnite, drop my creator code XavierGM next time you buy a silly dance or a cool character skin. It really helps me out. See you next time!